can't recommend.
I'd like to call to order the Charter Township of Chesterfield regular Township Board meeting for Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024, to order at 7 p.m. Could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, roll call. Clerk Barry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Here.
Trustee Anderson.
Here.
Trustee Joseph.
Here.
Trustee DeMink.
Here.
Trustee Vosberg.
Here.
Clerk Barry is here.
Could we excuse Treasurer Elliott? She is at a treasurer's conference. Item 4, approval of agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Trustee
Support.
DeMink, supported by Trustee Vosberg. Clerk Barry?
Trustee DeMink.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Item 5, presentations. I have none scheduled tonight, or there are none scheduled tonight. Item 6, department reports. So we'll begin with the board. Department reports, none from the board. Clerk Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just so that the board is aware, the public accuracy test was conducted today on our election equipment. All of that passed satisfactorily of the the regular public accuracy test of all our election equipment. As well as we have we have sent out approximately 4,500 absentee ballots, and we have received approximately half of those back. The township will be conducting early tabulation of the absentee ballots beginning next week. The times and location of that will be posted for the public. That is open to the public, much different than in years past, where that has been a sequestered exercise. We actually couldn't tabulate early before, but the absentee counting room was a sequestered environment until Proposal 22-2 changed that. So that will be taking place over at the Chesterfield Township Community Center, also known as Sugarbush Elementary. The dates and times, again, will be published and posted both on our website as well as here at the township offices. The public is welcome to come and observe the counting, early tabulation of our absentee ballots. All tabulated absentee ballots prior to Election Day, there will be no results run. No one will know the results until the polls close at 8 o'clock on Election Day. So we suspend the absentee ballot tabulation process until all of the ballots are tabulated at the end of Election Day. Also, the election, as many of you know now, is Tuesday, May the 7th, for those who are in the Lance Cruz and New Haven school districts. Again, if you are in the Anchor Bay School District, you do not have a May election. It is only for those residents and voters who live in the Lance Cruz and New Haven school districts. If there are any questions or concerns from any members of the board or the public on where or when voting is taking place, we have no early voting for this election. As we had for the presidential primary, there is no early voting, but those who wish to vote early may do so by absentee ballot. There is no reason that needs to be given for voting early by absentee ballot. Otherwise, polls will open at 7 a.m. on Tuesday, May 7th, and they will close at 8 p.m. Also, so the board is aware, as well as the public, today was the last day for candidates wishing to be included on the August primary ballot to file for office. Chesterfield had quite a few candidates filing for office. The full list of those candidates and candidates that have filed throughout Macomb County is available on the county clerk's website. Simply go to the county clerk's website at macomb.gov and look under elections, and then make sure you go to the correct election, which is August 2024, and you will see the candidate listing there, along with the list of all those who have filed so far for precinct delegate for both parties. So if there are any questions about the upcoming election in May or the August primary election, residents in the board are always welcome to call the clerk's office and speak with anyone in our department. We will be able to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Barry. Item 7, public comments on agenda items only. There's a 3-minute time limit. If you would state your name just for the record, you aren't required to, just easier to keep track. The mic is open.
Good evening, Janice Young. I'd like to address items D and E on the agenda. I'd like to lay out a timeline and provide some facts that I came across on these two items. Mr. Robert Finazzo, if I'm saying that correctly, worked as a sergeant in the Chesterfield Police Department at the same time that Supervisor Kersten worked there. I don't know Kirsten's rank at the time, but there's obviously a connection from the time that they worked together. Mr. Finazzo is running for a trustee position on this board, and tonight Supervisor Kersten is recommending to appoint Mr. Finazzo to our Zoning Board of Appeal. That's interesting. On March 20th, Mr. Shane Sellers was photographed in attendance at Supervisor Kersten's fundraiser. The very next day, March 21st, Mr. Sellers filed and announced that he's running for a trustee position on this board. And now today, Supervisor Kersten is recommending appointing Mr. Sellers' friend, Jacob, if I say this right, Tazaki, to be an alternate on our Zoning Board of Appeals, which is also interesting. The definition of nepotism is the act of granting an advantage, privilege, or position to relatives or friends in an occupation or field. You, Supervisor Kersten, are a master at that. I'm requesting that this board vote no on both of those appointments. In addition, I am requesting that any openings for planning, zoning, and any other commission be advertised to the public so that residents will know when there are positions available. Currently, the job postings, they're called job postings, they're available on the township website. It's currently dated October 22nd, which is during your term, Supervisor Kersten. And the residents have to go to the website, simply fill out the application. I don't know how they would know what they're applying for because they don't know what's open. So they don't know if there's any vacancies like there is now since Aaron Greer has resigned. So you're also creating an alternate position at Mr. Siebert's suggestion. So how many residents applied to these positions and how many residents even knew they were open? Thank you.
John Speaker, Chesterfield Township. In regards to the bill run, the bill run still consistently sloppy with wasteful spending. I've said it before. Our cell phones are out of control on what we're spending versus what we were spending. We have a fleet manager that we have on staff, and when I look back here and I look at the bill run, our fleet manager went from being hired for a fleet manager into making decisions on where we take our vehicles for repair instead of being a fleet manager and handling the services, to now where Enterprise is taking over Chesterfield Township. So I haven't seen any savings at all, and I haven't gotten a report or heard the Supervisor Kersten provide a report on any additional savings. There have been no savings for the township. It's actually cost the township residents, the taxpayers, a lot more money. So in hundreds of thousands if you tally everything up. And then secondly, on just a couple of the agenda items, again, I don't know the individual, Mr. Finazzo, but based on what I've seen and read and heard, and the nepotism by the supervisor is just out of control. So I don't think it's a good idea appointing a candidate running for office on any board at this particular time. I think it should be left to the new board to decide. So, but again, I've said this before, that all the civil servants in this township have been replaced by Supervisor Kersten as Kersten loyalists. So they're not civil servants. They're now his loyalists. So, and it's a fascist regime. Thank you.
Well, just in case you know, I'm Robert Finazzo, and been here since 1985. Police officer, resident. I know Mr. Anderson for 30 years. I know David Joseph. Cindy Berry was my neighbor. Worked with Brad Kersten. Bob Seaver was my township attorney. Kathy Vosberg was our the state, our area rep. I worked with Brian Demink. So I know everybody on the board. So I guess I couldn't run for anything because of nepotism or anything like that. I have pretty thick skin. I can understand all the stuff. I know the politics. It's going to be a great run. and I just want to let everybody know that nepotism isn't here, and I know everybody on the board, and I know a lot of other people in the township. That's all I wanted to get out of the way. Thanks a lot.
Any further comments from the public? Any further comments from the public? Move on to item 8, the consent agenda. Clerk Berry.
All items under the consent agenda are considered routine by the board and will be enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion of these items. If discussion of any item is required by a board member, it will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 9th, 2024. B, approval of the payment of bills as submitted by the Finance Department.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Clerk Berry. Is there
Support.
Trustee Vosberg. Clerk Berry.
Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye. Item 9, public hearings. There are no public hearings scheduled today. We'll go to item 10, the regular agenda. Item 10A. Clerk Berry.
Item 10A is to adopt Proclamation Number 2024-03 to recognize May 12th through the 18th, 2024 as National Police Week.
Supervisor Kersten will make, Trustee Demink will make a motion to approve by Trustee Anderson. Clerk Berry, do you want to read the resolution? Clerk Berry.
On behalf of the people of the Chartered Township of Chesterfield, Macomb County, State of Michigan, the Chesterfield Township Board of Trustees does hereby proclaim May 12th through the 18th, 2024 as National Police Week. Whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. And whereas from the beginning of this nation, law enforcement officers have played an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms which are guaranteed by the Constitution. And whereas the members of the Chesterfield Township Department of Public Safety play an essential role in protecting the lives and property of the citizens of Chesterfield Township. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that the members of the Chesterfield Township Department of Public Safety recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas it is fitting and proper that we express our gratitude for the dedicated service and courageous deeds of law enforcement officers and for the contributions they have made to the security and well-being of all of our citizens. Now, therefore, the Chesterfield Township Board of Trustees do hereby proclaim May 12th through 18th, 2024 as National Police Week.
Thank you. Any discussion from the board? Trustee Demink.
Just one thing to advise the board and the residents. There is a tour, it's called the Police Unity Tour. I'm part of it. There's 23 officers that are leaving on May 7th, and we're traveling to the East Coast. And from there, thousands of officers come in from all over the United States, and they bike for 400 miles over 4 days. And we end up in Washington, D.C. at a park near the Law Memorial Wall on May 12th. We stay for the night of the 13th, which is the Police Officers Memorial Vigil, where they put the names of any new officers on the wall, and it's on the mall. So, yeah, I'm part of the team, support team. I am not biking, but there's officers. My group is Shelby Sterling, Warren Clinton, DPD, and there's a couple other guys in there, but we all had to raise each $2,100 to go on this, and it's and it all goes to maintain the wall and to honor the officers that are fallen and their families who will be there. I just wanted to pass that on to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have a motion by Trustee Demink, supported by Trustee Anderson, to approve the proclamation as read. Clerk Berry.
Trustee Demink. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Item 10B.
Item 10B is to approve a recommendation by the Department of Public Safety to purchase training in the amount of $8,000 for the Chesterfield Township Fire Department staff to receive training from Sutphen Fire Apparatus on the new Sutphen aerial ladder truck that was recently purchased.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support? Trustee Joseph? Director Bassett, you want to?
Thank you. So just real quickly about the last item, as a reminder, during Police Week, we also have our open house on May 18th for the community to participate in, which is during Police Week. So again, it's always been a huge turnout, and I'd assume we'll have the same, but I hope everybody's able to make it out. The item before you this evening is to approve a recommendation by the Department of Public Safety to purchase training in the amount of $8,000 for the fire department staff. A representative from the Sutphen Fire Apparatus will set up 3 8-hour days for training to cover all shifts and both our part-time and our full-time, The training will ensure proper use of the vehicle and reinforce good maintenance practices for its upkeep. The cost of $8,000 includes all costs for instructions and their expenses.
Questions from the board? No questions? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Joseph, to approve item 10B. Clerk Barry?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Item 10C.
Item 10C is approval of a special event request to host a Cast for Kids Foundation fishing event at Brandenburg Park on Saturday, September 7th, 2024.
Is there a motion to approve?
Clerk Barry will make a motion.
Clerk Barry, supported by Supervisor Kersten. Director Vanderson?
Thank you. So this one is a special event from an outside organization, Cast for Kids Foundation. They're looking to host a special event fishing tournament for children with special needs. This will happen in Brandenburg Park on Saturday, September 7th. There are no pavilion fees required, as the pavilions are not rentable at that time. The building is rented for that day, so our staff will be on site the day. Tyler Smith is here from the Cast for Kids organization if you do have any questions.
Questions from the board? Any questions from the board? Seeing none, a motion by Clerk Barry, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve the request. 10C. Clerk Barry?
Clerk Barry, aye. Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Good luck. Item 10D.
Item 10D is a recommendation by Supervisor Kersten to appoint Robert Finazzo to fill the vacant Zoning Board of Appeals term ending September 1, 2027.
So moved.
Trustee Joseph, supported by Trustee Vosberg. Thank you. There was a recent vacancy that was an individual that could no longer participate on the zoning board, and the process that, the old process was, we would post it on the social media pages and our website, and the supervisor would get a letter. I changed that a while back. Literally, it goes through our applicant portal for all employees, where all jobs for the township are posted. And the department in charge of that, in this case, it was the Planning and Zoning Department, actually do the interviews of the candidates that come in. I did not interview them. Yes, I know Bob Finazzo have gone back. We have a long history together, good history, so much like everybody else here, as he's stated. So, quality person. I don't know what his political affiliations are. That had nothing to do with this. I just think he's a lifelong resident that could serve the board well, and obviously he did well in interview to be recommended. And just as a follow-up to the next item for the follow-up person, there was never an alternate. And recently we've had some logistical problems with not having enough for the board. So at the recommendation of, at the recommendation of the township attorney after lengthy discussion, is how do we address this? The alternate was brought up. So that is the origination of the alternate. So any questions, anything? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the nepotism comments and concerns. Mr. Supervisor, as you indicated, and I think Mr. Finazzo, when he went to the microphone, he knows us all. He's been in this township for a very long time. I don't think I don't know from a campaign standpoint if you know, getting an appointment a few months before an election to the ZBA is you know, like the greatest path to lock in a you know, a vote for the board. As he said, he's been in this community for a long time. He was a very honorable police officer, went above and beyond throughout his career, and you know, his willingness to serve on the ZBA is very welcome. A lot of times these appointments sometimes will sit vacant for a long time, and there are occasions on planning and zoning with the idea of the alternate. I think it's a great idea because we have situations where people, for whatever reason, they drop out and the position goes unfilled. It may be some time before we can get a candidate and even appointed. So when you combine that with vacations and things, you don't want to run into a situation where we have a petitioner that's trying to get a project forward and we can't, you know, put a quorum together. So again, I think Mr. Finazzo made a strong point. If the argument is nepotism, then none of us could really vote for him. We all know him, and again, his willingness to serve is appreciated. I understand the comment and the concern, but being full disclosure, there'll be a lot of things that happen during the upcoming months as it relates to campaigns. I don't think this is one of them, and even if it were, let the voters figure it out. They're very smart, and they'll figure out who's doing what and for why. And I think any candidate that runs for office, you go forward with your ideas and what you stand for, and the voters of Chesterfield will figure that out and arrive at the right conclusion. I have faith in them, and I think Mr. Finazzo is a good guy, so I appreciate his willingness to serve, and that's why I supported his appointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Trustee Anderson?
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with what Trustee Joseph just said about Mr. Finazzo. I've known him a long time. We know his background, his professionalism as an officer. He's been appointed to ZBA. That'll equate to maybe a line on a candidate's material, nothing more. And as Mr. Joseph said, it's election time coming up here. Mr. Finazzo among us, there's probably around 16 other candidates running for 4 offices, so let the electorate figure that out. Thank you.
Clerk Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As Bob pointed out, we were neighbors for over 20 years, and I've known him a long time. I support his appointment because I think that we need to start putting aside a lot of the personal elements and look at, you know, who's going to do the job best, who is going to do the job best for the residents of Chesterfield, who's the best equipped, who's the best trained. I know Bob knows this community very well. I think this is an appropriate appointment for him. And as Bob will remember, I mean, he even ran against me one time, and I support him still for this position because he's that doesn't matter. What matters is that we have solid citizens and residents of Chesterfield Township who are looking to do the best thing for the township, and I believe Bob will be a good fit on this position, and I support him for this.
Thank you. Trustee Domingue?
Likewise, I worked with Bob at my county days. We worked a lot of scenes together in Chesterfield. He's a great guy. He's a great asset to Chesterfield PD, and I have no problem with him. He'll do a great job.
Trustee Vosper?
Thank you. I currently serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and it has been some nights close to problematic because there was a member who, his job changed. He was not able to attend the meetings often enough. And then if somebody is on vacation or is ill, it makes it even harder. So I'm very grateful that we have someone that we're appointing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a motion by Trustee Joseph, supported by Trustee Vosberg, to approve item 10D. Clerk Barry.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Domingue.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Item 10E.
Item 10E is a recommendation by Supervisor Kersten to appoint Jacob Taxak, maybe, to the Zoning Board of Appeals as an alternate with the term ending April 23rd, 2027.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Trustee Joseph, Supervisor Kersten will make, support that. There you are. Pronounce your last name for us. Jacob Tkachik. Again, same process was followed. Jacob was an intern here through the summertime through Anchor Bay. He did a lot of, set us on the right path for our media department. He's been a great asset in that layer, in that job. And then obviously, when we posted the job, he reached out, he did the interview, and I think he's a quality young man that's got a bright future ahead of him. U of M, right? U of M. There you go. And he has an interest in politics, so he impressed the interview panels where they recommended him, and I support it. So, any questions? Any questions? No. I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, or Trustee Joseph, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to appoint Jacob Tkachik. Clerk Barry.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, even though, go green. Aye.
Item 10F.
Item 10F is to approve a request for the transfer of a specially designated distributor and specially designated merchant liquor license with Sunday sales permit AM and PM and Sunday sales permit PM to SDM Mixes Spirit Drink for Hajar Kanona Liquor LLC DBA as Offshore Market located at 45935 Jefferson Avenue, Chesterfield, Michigan 48047, and adopt resolution number 2024-10.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion.
Support.
Clerk Barry will support. Is Hani still around? Good.
My name is Basman Hajjar. We trying to purchase. Okay, I'm sorry. My name is Basman Hajjar, and this is my partner. His name is Nathan Kanona. We're trying to purchase offshore market, so we would like your approval to transfer the license for the business.
Questions from the board? Clerk Barry.
Not so much a question, Mr. Supervisor, but as the department that takes in and processes all liquor license requests, just like to alert the board or let the board know that this applicant has supplied all appropriate documentation and has met all of our requirements set forth in our ordinance and is now before you for your approval.
Any further questions? We have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Clerk Barry, to approve item 10F. Clerk Barry.
Supervisor Kersten?
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye. Trustee Anderson?
Aye.
Trustee Joseph? Aye. Trustee Demink?
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Mr. Supervisor, before you go to the next item, I would like to ask, I mentioned it to council, this next public hearing in this road improvement is in my subdivision. This is a connector street that I use to get to my home. It's all my neighbors, everything on it. It's going to improve everybody's home in there and values. I would like to be excused from voting on this one. It's up to the board.
I'll defer to the attorney. I don't have a problem with it. Obviously, this isn't your neighborhood, but is a street coming and going from it, and you have concerns about that? Is that?
That's it. And, you know, it's gonna raise the street's gonna improve it for everybody in there to get in and out because it's terrible. It's gonna, I believe it's gonna increase values, and I just don't wanna be, I just wanna be up front for it. You know, I have no problem abstaining from the vote. It's up to my board members.
Board member have an issue?
No issue.
None? None?
So, and somebody's got to make a motion to allow trustee Demink to abstain.
I'll make a motion to allow trustee Demink to vote on this item, if that's necessary. Or do you need an abstention? Bob?
Do you want to
No.
abstain from the vote, period? I don't
I don't
see,
have a problem.
Okay, I'm just asking,
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
don't
throwing
see
it
a
out, so you
need
guys
to.
know. Okay,
any questions, any concerns with that?
okay, all right.
So 10G, Clerk Berry.
Item 10G is to approve a request to adopt Resolution 2024-08, number 1, and Resolution 2024-09, number 2, and set the date for a public hearing for May 28, 2024, at 7 p.m. for the purpose of hearing any objections to the petition, the installation of said proposed improvements, and the creation of a special assessment district for the installation of road paving improvements for Salt River Drive.
Motion by trustee Joseph,
Support.
supported by trustee Vosberg. Comments or questions? Again, Mitch, you want to describe this?
Yeah, it's a paving project on Salt River Drive from Lakeview to Point Lakeview. It's a private road, so it'll be just the paving. There'll be no drainage included. And this item sets the public hearing for May 28th.
And this was resident-initiated SAD for the improvement.
Resident initiated, we actually had 2 informational meetings with the residents. The petition has been circulated, and they have more than the majority of the property owners, so that's what brought it here today.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Clerk Berry?
Just a procedural question before we proceed. I believe that that each resolution would have to be voted on independently.
These are, the Resolution 1 is just the board's tentative intent to proceed, and Resolution 2 sets the public hearing. Typically, we approve them at the same time. If you can vote on them separately, I don't see the need to, but it's your call.
It's just that there's 2 separate documents, and we need 2 separate motion makers and seconds.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
So on resolution number 1, do I have a motion to approve resolution number 1? Is that correct?
Yeah, I have the motion recorded
Okay.
as from trustee Joseph, supported by trustee Vosberg.
Okay. And then you want another motion for resolution number 2?
After we take the vote on resolution number 1, then
Okay.
they can repeat their motions, and we'll just call the roll again, because those are roll call required.
Understood. Clerk Berry?
This is on adoption of resolution number 2024-08, number 1. Trustee Joseph?
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
Aye.
Trustee Demink?
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten?
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
And now for resolution number 2?
I'd make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-09, number 2.
Clerk Berry make a motion. Is there support? Trustee Vosberg? Clerk Berry?
Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Vosberg?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
Aye.
Trustee Demink?
Aye.
Trustee Joseph?
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten?
Aye. Item 10H.
Item 10H is a recommendation by the Elections Department to approve a request for Modus election software from Intex Software Solutions, Inc., with a one-time implementation and training fee of $4,500 and a prorated annual fee of $4,760 from May through December 2024, for a total cost of $9,260.
Is there a motion to approve?
Clerk Berry will make a motion to approve.
Is there any support?
Support.
Trustee Joseph?
Any questions I can answer prior to the vote? Anything that wasn't in the agenda packet that needs some refining?
Trustee Vosberg?
I have a question. Did our IT department review this? Is it,
They did not. The component unit of what this software entails is election-oriented. It doesn't necessarily have an HR implication or a grander IT. We did look and see that it does interface with BSNA, but no, IT was not consulted.
all right, thank you.
Clerk Berry?
Thank you. Also, the application is mostly cloud-based, so we access it through the cloud. Although it will require some installation, it is, as Election Coordinator Brzezinski stated, it is great news. It is compatible with all of our other operating systems as far as BSNA, Laserfish, and any of other operating systems because it is cloud-based. Just to let the board and the public know what this is all about. The administration of elections from a logistical standpoint has gotten more and more complicated over the years, particularly now with the passage of 22-2. There are a lot of additional elements and moving pieces that we did not have before, and the sheer management of those pieces has become incredibly cumbersome, very, very time-consuming, because right now, as we've been doing it for years, it's being done manually. Manual spreadsheets, literally physical paper and pencil. It's just been manageable up till now. It's no longer manageable from a manual perspective, which is how we have been doing it and how we did it through the February presidential primary election. Literally hundreds of man-hours in handling precinct management. We, on an election year like this year, will be managing anywhere upwards of 500 different employees that either will work for us on election day itself during the early voting process. We have absentee counting board members that are, again, a different type of worker. We have our receiving board. There's just many, many variant types of individuals who are participating in the conduction of the election. That is different than we have had in the past. And it's just, we have to not only maintain their schedules, their assignments, communicate that with them. We also have to maintain all of their training. These are individuals that all have to be certified and have to maintain current certifications. So keeping all of that in order for, upwards of 600 people is daunting, to say the least. Particularly scheduling and assignments. And what this software allows us to do is it integrates all of the elements of election administration and management that we have to deal with, whether that is precinct management, resource allocation, materials, equipment. It allows us to communicate with all of our election inspectors, communicate assignments, communicate training. It allows us to do much of what we need to do. It automates a lot of the functions that we have now that are being done manually. It also allows us to take multiple software applications that we may employ from time to time and allow us to pretty much eliminate those, much of them, and puts everything in one place that the entire elections team can access. It also allows for standardization of reporting. So when we send reports, whether that be into our BSNA system or we send them to the county, it allows us to have a seamless ability to do that and do it in a standardized way that everyone can access. So the amount of time, resources, and energy that this will allow us to save is going to be considerable. It'll also allow us to streamline and make election management and administration more efficient and more effective. And so when this was brought to me actually by my staff in elections, Coordinator Budzinski, as well as former Deputy Clerk Michelle Niza, as well as a number of our other staff that handle different elements of the election process. I took a look at it. They said, we really, really need this. It will help us do the job so much better, and we won't have some of the issues that we have had in the past as far as creating a lot of overtime and things like this. And I took a look at it. Clinton Township has already taken this program on. They are using it now, and the Macomb County Clerk's also been evaluating it. They did voice support for it, even though they may not, because they are not election administrators, may not actually have need of all of the elements that we do here at the local level, but they are supportive of us standardizing as much as possible. So this system allows us to do that, and I'd like to ask for the board's support on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for the board?
Real quick, why wasn't, IT, they're the computer wizards. Why weren't they even questioned on any of this or to see how it's going to interface?
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we made several attempts to ask them. It's just as a matter of this, we just kind of came to this last, or middle of last week. We wanted to get it on the board agenda. I think it's just a matter of scheduling. We've been pretty busy in terms of preparing for training and such. So I think it's just been a matter of not being able to have time to get with them. But this isn't a complicated system. Very, very similar to many of the different applications that we have. So, and like I said, it's pretty much cloud-based. So.
Any further questions? Trustee Anderson.
Not a question, but I just, being on the election commission, I'd like to commend Mason. You've done a great job. You've come in here and holding it together here, so thank you.
Any further questions? Trustee Joseph.
Yeah, just to echo Trustee Anderson, this, the element for me and the approval, and my support of this is the redundancy of the hand counts and the amount of work that happens in your department, in Clerk Berry's department, elections coordinator. This is a lot of really pen and paper type things. I understand the concerns about the IT integration, but this isn't really an IT feature. This is a tool that is primarily web-based, so there is no, obviously, you're going to need to coordinate to make sure that the application is as smooth as possible. But this tool reduces a lot of hand counting, and I think the amount of work that you do over there, especially in the last week or so, and getting prepared for the May election. This is a needed tool. It's very reasonably priced in terms of what it returns to the township, and holding it up because of an IT just doesn't seem like a good move. But I appreciate you being on the forefront of looking for tools that can enhance resident and the accuracy. So thank you.
Yeah, and if I can echo one thing there that Trustee Joseph mentioned, again, the redundancy of it is nice. With the elections that we do administer, we are able to recoup cost. And some of the issues that we run into is we do have the BSA journal for all the transactions that the township completes, if it's payroll, if it's something operating supplies related. But again, this adds that redundancy and that feature of standardization that Clerk Berry was referring to. And the beauty of it is if we find it, we utilize it, and it's not up to par or the modules aren't to what we need, that $4,500 that comes for the initial setup, that is on-site help for them to come out. And these individuals are based out of Wisconsin, but they're not home rule there in terms of their election administration. The counties administer elections, and they utilize the software just like we would. But again, they're on the ground, they will set it up. But on the flip side, the contract renews annually. We can get out of it with relative ease. Again, there would be the sunk cost, obviously, of the $4,500 for the initial setup. But again, for its potential implications of not having to do things on an Excel spreadsheet. And again, when we present these reimbursement claims, be a school district to the state of Michigan or to the presidential parties that we just had for the February election, again, there's a certain level of detail that's warranted for personnel cost over time. And again, it's a means of just getting things into one place. And the idea is, recouping all the costs that the township incurred. And again, this is a new approach. It's novel. Again, we've met with this vendor twice. We went over it in depth. They showed us, how it works. And again, it looks like in Macomb County is starting to take roots with some of the other local jurisdictions, and they've had positive reviews. So we're asking to look at it. And again, we don't want to run afoul of any other processes that are in plan. This isn't an HR specific software. This isn't anything IT heavy, or it supplements onboarding. It's more or less an election department software just for organization. If you want to look at it to something that's like an app description, it's an electronic data manager. You put everything into it, and again, it could be a schedule, it could be payroll, it could be locations of precincts, notices, sending out mass text to our workers to let them know, you're stationed at this precinct. It offers more options for us, but again, it's at the board's discretion now. So if there's anything else I can provide, I'm willing to answer it, but I hope that kind of rounds out everything.
Thanks for bringing it forward.
Thank you.
One
Thank
more.
Trustee Domingue.
One more question. Mason, is this the only company, the only software company that does this, or there are other companies that do this same type of software, or is it just this one company?
No, this is not a sole vendor. There are other options. We did look at 2 other softwares, and Clerk Berry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was $25,000 was the expenditure for the other program that we looked at, which was the sister software.
Yeah.
And again, it's kind of, there's like the big 3, and this was one of them. The other company did put a quote together, and it wasn't entertained. This is, almost a third the cost, if you will. Just looking at the subscription fee, not the initialization and setup.
So if we do have an issue with it or it doesn't work out, we can have the option to bow out, is that correct, Clerk Berry and Mason?
Correct,
Yes.
but we're incurring the cost for the entire year. We can't stop 3 months in and say, we're done. We do incur the cost for that 12-month.
You
term.
said what other township is using this right now?
Clinton Township, which would be Kim Meltzer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I can't support this. We've spent the last year going in a different direction with most of the modules that are included in here. I don't know enough about this. I looked at the website, I looked at what its accomplishment is. I just don't know enough about it, and as I said, we've spent the last year looking at other alternatives for time and attendance and scheduling, and I just think we're creating redundancy, so I can't support this. Any further questions? I have a motion by Clerk Barry, supported by Trustee Joseph, to approve item 10H. Clerk Barry.
Clerk Barry, aye. Trustee Joseph? Aye. Trustee Anderson?
Aye.
Trustee Demink?
No.
Trustee Vosberg? No. Supervisor Kersten?
No. No action taken on the item?
No, the item fails.
Pardon me?
Item fails.
Item
Yes, sir.
Item 10I.
Item 10I is to approve a recommendation by Public Services to adopt Resolution Number 2024-04, the Michigan Department of Transportation Performance Maintenance Resolution for Municipalities, Form Number 2207B.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Trustee Demink, Supervisor Kersten will support. Mr. O'Connor?
This request is for the, to renew the annual permit with MDOT, which allows us to maintain the township water mains and sanitary sewers in MDOT right away.
In our conversations, this comes up every year.
It's an annual permit,
And
correct?
we had asked to reach out to them. There's a reason for it doing every year. Can we go like 3 or 5 years? We didn't get an answer back for that yet.
Yeah, MDOT is MDOT,
Got it.
and MDOT likes it MDOT's way.
Understood.
Okay.
Questions from the board? Trustee Vosberg.
I don't see, there's no charge or anything for that.
No, there's no fee.
They just need they just want,
Yeah, it
This
is their
process.
right of way, so for us to operate and work in their right of way, anybody who does any work in MDOT's right of way has to request and obtain a permit from MDOT to work in their right of way.
okay.
This, because we have existing utilities in there, and it takes a while to get a permit from MDOT if you're going in as a new development, this form allows us to maintain, if we get a water main break, we can go in and fix the water main break without getting a separate permit from MDOT. It's covered by this blanket permit.
All right, thank you.
Any questions from the board? I have a motion by Trustee Demink, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve item 10I. Clerk Barry?
Trustee Demink? Aye. Supervisor Kersten?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
Aye.
Trustee Joseph?
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg?
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Item 10J.
Item 10J is a request for the Township Board to approve the purchase of 25 3/4-inch T10 meters, 50 1-inch T10 meters, 2 4-inch Mach 10 meters, and 80 R900 radio read devices for a total cost of $42,516.66.
Is there a motion to approve?
Clerk Barry will make a motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Clerk Barry, supported by Trustee Vosberg. Mr. O'Connor?
These specific quantities are based on projections based on the projects that are currently going through the site plan process or the engineer, the agency review process. So that is the summation of the 3/4-inch meters, the 1-inch meters, and the 4-inch meters. When the development happens, the township recoups this money when they purchase the meters to put them in.
Questions from the board? I have a motion by Clerk Barry, supported by Trustee Vosberg, to approve item 10J. Clerk Barry?
Clerk Barry, aye. Trustee Vosberg?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
Aye.
Trustee Joseph?
Aye.
Trustee Demink?
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten?
Aye. Item 11, addendums, there are none. Item 12, public comments. There's a 3-minute time limit, and if, again, you, just for our knowledge, would you state your name so we can keep track? You're not required to.
Hi there, my name is Georgia Griffin. I'm a resident of Chesterfield Township. I am here to strongly urge the board to work with the Macomb County Department of Roads at your meeting coming up on May 8th to secure the funds and establish a plan to pave 24-mile road east of Fairchild Road. The benefits of paving 24-mile road east of east of Fairchild Road include the following as I see it. Number one, improve the traffic flow to the commercial district on Gratiot, thereby decreasing the congestion at both the Fairchild Road and 23-mile road intersection and Gratiot and 23-mile road intersection. Number two, reduce the risk of damage to vehicles, including school buses that currently use and those that will use in the future 24-mile road east of Fairchild. Number three, eliminate the dust and dirt thrown into the air from the road to neighboring homes. Number four, reduce the wear and tear on Fairchild Road, which is currently used to access 23-mile road and Gratiot Avenue and I-94. Number five, anticipate the increase in traffic from the numerous new subdivisions being built on 24-mile road west of Fairchild, including the Stillwater Crossing, which is plotted for approximately 500 homes. That means probably at least 500 more cars. Number six, to avoid future congestion at Fairchild Road and 23-mile road from the new subdivision now being plotted in the area formerly occupied by the Scalawags Golf Course. Ultimately, paving 24-mile road east of Fairchild Road will not only benefit the Chesterfield residents that live in and around this area, but it will also benefit the expanding number of commercial businesses on Gratiot north of 23-mile road. Thank you. I appreciate you hearing my comments.
Further public comments?
Good evening, Board. My name is Shane Sellers. My address is 46310 Jasmine Court, Chesterfield Township. Oftentimes from this podium, you hear how long someone has lived here and why they chose to start a family here. As a young person in the township, I want to tell you why this township is appealing to young adults like myself and what makes us want to stay. We have everything here, and I mean nearly everything. You have incredible employment opportunities, both for starting jobs and for lifelong careers. While we might complain about how packed 23 and Gratiot is, I can say as a young person we enjoy the convenience of practically a one-stop shop there. Importantly, talking specifically about the actions of this board, I am most proud to be a resident about the numerous opportunities you offer for recreation. I couldn't be more excited, and neither could many of my neighbors I spoke to, for the purchase of the community center. The potential opportunities that affords to our residents is immeasurable. I think it is a great place for collaboration, education, and recreation. It is centrally located in the heart of our township, and with the sidewalk gap plan, our residents will hopefully be able to walk to the community center from almost every direction of our township and our local parks. Speaking of the gap plan, I am really excited to see our community more accessible, especially in our most densely populated areas. I think many of us, I know just driving by, you go on 23 Mile and you see right off I-94 in front of the apartment building there, the dirt path that's literally been walked because it's so frequently traveled. While I totally understand and agree as a conservative that we have to be mindful of government spending, especially with these projects, and should absolutely look at every tax dollar spent, I think we have to ask ourselves the question, is this best for our residents? The beauty of that is it's all subjective. As long as we can respectfully debate what our priorities are, that's all I can ask of an elected board like yourselves. I know firsthand the nastiness of political attacks and how counterproductive they are to the business at hand. And I just ask that we keep trying to look forward to ways we can better both our longtime residents and the young people looking to make Chesterfield their forever home. Speaking to that, what was said earlier, this is exactly what I mean. Why are we slandering young people who want to make a difference in the township? I just wish we could talk about the issues that are currently facing our township today. I mean, it didn't even take 4 hours after the filing deadline to immediately attack. I'm going to choose not to go there. Projects already underway, like the community center, the sidewalk program, the municipal office refresh, and upgrading Brandenburg Park, are all pillars that will retain current residents and recruit new ones. Thank you.
Janice Young. I can see that we are in campaign season, and I will not do that from this podium. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing for the last year and a half. So I'd like to start off with the most important thing on my list, is I want to bring up the $16 million mess that is going on Burdon Road. I'd like to speak on behalf of Eric and Crystal Romer and the damage that is being done to their property. Ms. Romer reached out to the township on Friday, March 8th, to alert them of the problem they were experiencing with the flooding from the work being done on the north, to install the northeast sanitary sewer line that this board, especially Kersten, forced on us. You told the Romers that you don't have the power to stop this project. Why is that? You created it. You told them to deal with the contractor in turn referred them back to you. On March 9th, Ms. Romer posted a video on Facebook showing the flooding, which you asked her to turn off the comments, and she graciously did. She believed that you would help them. You did not. You proceeded to laugh at them and then challenge them to sue the township. I myself have been keeping in touch with Eric and Crystal out of concern for what they've been going through, not just the flooding, but some personal issues. I've been out there to check on the status of the water being pumped, and it's ridiculous, beyond ridiculous. As you are well aware, Ms. Romer has experienced some very serious health issues, and now her immune system is very vulnerable to any possible infection that she could get from the mosquitoes and ticks. Let me inform you that ticks are ground dwellers that like it warm and humid. With all the flooding out there, that's a pretty good environment coming for them. And we all know that mosquitoes thrive in standing water. The environment you have created makes it very conducive to both dangers for Ms. Romer. She will likely not be able to enjoy her property this summer because of the nightmare you are causing with the installation of this sewer line. I'd like to note that there has been no updates on the status of this sewer line project, but we're sure to get an update. We sure got one on this building, didn't we, and the police department, so we know exactly how that one's going. The sewer line project's been going on for over 6 weeks, and there's obviously an issue with the dewatering because that pumping is crazy. I've got videos of it myself. Will you give us a detailed update on the status of that, and will you please help the Romers? And on another note, for clarity, my comment on nepotism was in no way derogatory towards Mr. Finazzo or Mr. Kachik. That is exactly what I've been doing for a year and a half. I've been calling out things that I see, and I want the residents, the voters, if you want to call them that, I want the residents to be aware. That's it. That is the only reason I brought it up. I don't know those people. There's nothing derogatory toward them. On a final note, I emailed this board on April 11th, and I asked for an update on the ARPA funds on the township website. This little chart has not been updated since the purchase of Sugarbush. And I also asked what your final plans were with the remaining $800,000, and if you'll be accepting input from the residents on the final amount. I have a suggestion. Why don't you help the Romers? They could probably use some help getting the water off the property. Or as I suggested before, help the residents that were victims of the flood last August. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eric Romer. I live at 56535 Burdon Road, where the newly installed Chesterfield Township waterfall is located. As of just recently as last Sunday night, we have had additional water flowing onto our property. As Janice stated, my wife did have a very serious surgery. At least she's actually back in the hospital as of tonight. She had her most of her pancreas removed, her entire spleen, and some of her adrenal glands. For anyone who isn't aware, your spleen controls all of your immunities. She is currently left with none. As the water continues to flow and pool on our side of the street, the west side, it is a grounds for growing ticks and mosquitoes. We've already found a couple on one of our dogs as recently as just a couple days ago. When I spoke with Mr. Kersten about it, he informed me that he could not stop the water. Only the construction company could do it. When I talked to the construction company, they told me the exact opposite, that only Mr. Kersten could do it. So between the two of them, someone is lying. I have no idea who or what is going on as far as that's concerned, but it's clear that one of them is not telling the truth. And to add on to what Janice had said, as well as Mr. Kersten laughing at me and telling me to sue him, he also told me that he was immune to the law in Chesterfield Township. That was on a private phone conversation we had. I don't know about anybody else, but that makes me feel really strongly about the leadership that we have here in Chesterfield Township. It disturbs me greatly. I think it should disturb everyone else as greatly as well. Just like Janice, I'm looking to find out when you plan on having this completed. And again, you've told me that having the construction crews in front of our house is a problem for me, and you told me that I was harassing you over it. All I want is for you to keep the water on the east side of the street. Simple as that. You installed the culvert to come to the west side of the street purposely to dump it onto a vacant property. I don't know who owns that property. I've lived in my house for 15 years now. I've never seen the owner of that property. But water continues to flow. Even though it's going down to 26, it's still finding its way back onto our property and pooling in the woods. Please do something about it. Thank you.
My name is Scott Brandel. As the gentleman that was just up here with his property getting flooded, and Janice was just saying the same thing, I can guarantee none of you guys have showed your face onto that property to take a look at what's going on. I've been in construction my entire life. I know what's happening over there because I drove by it and took a look, and there is a definite easy solution to this problem. I mean, obviously, I don't expect you guys to even show your faces on that property. I know how you guys work. It's just not happening. But this is something, if you guys care about the residents, this is something you guys need to show up. Just drive your car. Company hours, I don't care personally. Go over there and take a look. It's not that hard. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. It can be relocated, redirected in a different direction. And like I said, I've been in construction my whole life. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. But there's one gentleman up here that has that call to make it happen, and it's not an issue to him. It's not a concern. So I'm sorry for this gentleman. It's his house, and unfortunately, he's probably going to have to deal with it. And that's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. I've been here a little bit over a year, I would say. And everything I've seen so far since I've been here is awful. I'm not going to lie. Happy wife, happy life. She wanted to live here. I gave in. And you know what? Everything I'm seeing, I do not see this township seceding at all. I mean, you guys, I see it every single time you guys vote. And the other one's not here, the three of you guys. Just like today, same thing. Every time you guys vote, you instantly have your answers right away because you know what he's going to say. And as soon as he says yes, you guys say yes. If he says no, you guys say no. It's that simple. We're not idiots. We see it. So I'm hoping at this election time, I hope everyone's going to pay attention and see what's going on. Obviously, Kersten, he's going to win. He's got so many people in his pocket. It is what it is. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. So hopefully you guys are going to pull it together and do something about it. At least do something for this guy's property. The same thing with the line with the flooding that happened. None of the pumps failed. Yeah, okay, right. Good thing we're using that money to fix all the pumps. Thank you.
Christopher Perrick, Chesterfield Township. Since the very first time I stepped up to this podium, I've been asking for answers from the board at these meetings. I've been asking for some back and forth dialogue. Still doesn't happen. Tonight would be a perfect night for that to happen, to help these people out on Burden Road. It's pitiful what they're going through. I am guilty of trying to drive down there today to find a new path to go from the north side of town to the south side of town because everything is blocked off now because of construction with Gratiot starting today. The Washington Bridge is closed, so I've had to reroute my path to go back and forth to work, and so I'm trying to find a better destination. And I drove by there, and I thought I might bring my wife back there to get a photo op in front of the Chesterfield fountain because it's ridiculous. I feel really bad for them. So hopefully they can get some answers tonight and some resolutions and some feedback from you. I do apologize, Ms. Griffin. I did drive down 24 Mile Road today looking for a path, and hopefully that won't become my cut through, but I've got to find a way to go back and forth. Usually I ask for an update on the on the positive feedback that was received by the township for the purchase of Sugar Bush Elementary. But I'll forego that tonight, save those answers that I'd really expect, save those for answers for the roamers. Thank you.
John Speaka, Chesterfield Township. Listening to the residents at the podium here tonight and in the boardroom, it's leadership matters. And when you have a lack of leadership and you have people that can't lead and people in the wrong spots that shouldn't be up there, then this is the direct result that we get in this township. Residents don't deserve that. Residents deserve better than what we have, a lot better than what we have. I firmly believe, and this is my opinion, that we've got some great candidates running in this election, and I believe that there will be a clean sweep of the board. I mean, and I don't believe that Mr. Kersten will be sitting in November in that seat again. Trustee Vosberg, I've had a resident tell me that that 2 days of the month that you hate the most is when you come to these meetings. My question to you is, why are you running again if you hate these meetings? Why don't you just resign? So I posed that question, and the resident said, well, the response was, you know, I'm going to run, and then I'll step down, and then, you know, whoever's in charge will appoint. Well, I think that's disingenuous to do that to the residents, because when the residents vote for a candidate, if you can't serve your full term, you shouldn't run in the first place. It's totally disingenuous. At our last meeting, there was a discussion for Director of Public Safety on a 14% raise, on a one-year severance package, a vehicle, gas, and the question imposed was, can he take that vehicle out of state? Mr. DeMink made a statement that other neighboring communities, we were within the ballpark. So I reached out and made some few phone calls in other neighboring communities, and my result that I found out is we're not in the ballpark in what the contract was that was being offered. I fully respect Mr. Bassett. He does a phenomenal job, but I ask that we need to be frugal with the residents' money and how we spend it. We're operating in a negative budget deficit in this township. So no matter how you want to spin the numbers, we are not in good shape. Mr. Kersten, everybody made a big deal about $9,260 for software that Cindy Berry's elections office needed, but yet when it came up for an $8.5 million sewer or $11 million sewer that we took from the county that needed repairs, I didn't hear all these questions and, you know, the conservatism come out. All of a sudden tonight, because we're in election season, come on. Let's stop playing games with the residents' money, okay? And let's do the right thing.
Hi, my name's Kyle Zakar, and I've lived in Chesterfield for 4 years. And I've recently become more interested in politics and the direction of this country, especially the direction of the state. After finding out Gretchen Whitmer is colluding with FBI and looking to lock up voters in this country. And after doing that, after finding that these people were entrapped in federal court, nothing happens to Gretchen Whitmer or the FBI. Nobody's held accountable. And that's troubling for our country. And nobody is immune to prosecution. So I'm looking to get more involved. I'm looking to do everything I can. And, you know, maybe a private investigator is the best route to handle this. So I recommend you do your jobs and you do it the right way, and you continue to do the right thing, And I'm watching every one of you, and I will hire a private investigator to follow you around. Thank you.
Any further comments? Bring it back up to the board. Board comments. Trustee Anderson, you want to start tonight?
I'll keep it short. I mean, tonight's agenda was straightforward, productive, benign overall. But I will mention the proverbial elephant in the room, I think, is what is happening over on Burden Road. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Romer's property, which I had an opportunity on several occasions to take a look firsthand at what's going on. I talked to him earlier today, and I said, too bad the what temperature wasn't right. You at least grow rice paddies in your engineered septic system. Whatever long-term damage is happening to his property and perhaps other ones over there. My understanding has been going on for, I first heard of it last month. There were calls made to the township leadership here, temporary fixes, and the problem continues. And I'll conclude with two things. The first one, Mr. Supervisor, the genesis of this project is your baby. Please provide immediate relief to Mr. and Mrs. Romer and any other property owners that are being damaged by this. And finally, to all the moms out there, we won't have a meeting before, I believe, May the 12th, so I'd like to wish you all a happy Mom's Day. Take care.
Trustee Joseph?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Yeah, just to pick up where Trustee Anderson left off with the Romer, that's really a tragic situation out there. Mrs. Romer posted the effects of the flooding on her property almost immediately, and the wooded area adjacent to the home is really only part of their property, which if you've been out there, you see that they've created something very nice for their family and their children, and most of it is unusable. And hopeful that it's temporary, but there are some concerns about the amount of water that is encroaching not only on their sort of play area, the children's playscape, their garden is completely wiped out, but it's now at their garage and near their home. And most concerning for me originally was the when the flooding initially started, wasn't lost on me that the whole family was preparing for a very invasive surgery that Mrs. Romer was planning to undergo. And she's been in and out of the hospital since this nightmare at her home. It really is quite tragic, and it saddens me to hear that she's back in the hospital tonight after such an extensive surgery. These are good people. They don't deserve this, and I echo Trustee Anderson. We need to do something out there very quickly. With regard to the comments, Ms. Young, I think you're fairly astute to the political speeches. You'll hear more from people that have never been to a meeting. They don't really have much in the way of experience or knowledge of issues, but they fraternize with board members, and the gamesmanship will occur. It always does. And one speaker who said that he was hoping that we could stay focused on the issues, I agree with that 1,000%. The issues that I'm focused on, hopefully we have collaboration, but whenever you have a group of people that agree on everything, you know that only one person is doing the thinking. If somebody sees an opportunity to make a spot on the board by endearing themselves to what they perceive to be the power and the influence that comes with that, then that's what they'll do. Again, faith in the electorate, and the voters will sort all of that out. In terms of the concerns about the police contract, it's an ongoing situation. I will stay on the investigatory level of that, and I've spoken with Supervisor Kersten. We're going to make sure that all appropriate things, have been done. And welcome to all the candidates that filed for office. I look forward to the campaign season as steel sharpens steel. Hopefully we have good discussion and debate about issues and not individuals. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Trustee Domingue?
Thanks for reminding me about Mother's Day. I forgot about that. So yes, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, because we won't have a meeting before then, especially to.
I know somebody who will remind you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and she's knocking on 92 and still driving me crazy, too. Thanks for all the people who've been here. Thanks for your comments. I listened to all your comments. And to everybody who is in the election, I wish you the best of luck. And that's about it. Thank you.
Trustee Fossberg?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Wanted to start out with one of my votes tonight, and that was on the election software. And I voted no because I want to see a little more working together to see if some of the needs that are in the department can be solved with existing software, and if not, just learn more information about it. It's one of the things that I just thought at the time was, it's like, oh man, we got another thing that that new the election 2022, is that the name of it, Clerk Barry? Yeah. It's like
Proposal 22-2.
Right, 22. One more thing that we have to spend more money on. It's just, makes me angry. So, but
I agree.
if we need to do it eventually, then we need to do it. I did visit the construction site on 26 Mile weeks ago when I first heard of the problem, and I'm surprised it's still going on, and I know I will try to ask more questions and continue to help resolve that issue. And then lastly, there was comment made about me running for office and then withdrawing. That is absolutely not true. I have never said that to anyone. Somebody asked me that, but I would never do that. If I don't want to run for office and I want to be in office, I won't run.
Clerk Barry?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Well, obviously, we're a little disappointed in the elections department that we've been denied a tool that would be very helpful to us. We do utilize current existing township resources. However, it just makes it's just very cumbersome, and it just takes us a lot more time. And so we were looking to save some time, save some money, and so that's why we brought it to the board here. But certainly understand the comments, and I do expect to perhaps bring it back in front of the board at a later date, perhaps with some more information as well. It was rather, we were trying to hastily get this in front of the board so that we could implement it as soon as we could for the August election. So hope to bring that back. Also, too, we will be doing some other things that are very important to the proper administration of our elections. And one of those things is that we will be having a security expert come in and take a look at our system. Hopefully, we will receive cooperation from the IT department in order to do that, so that we can assure everyone that the data transmission of all of the election results and all of the processes that we go through are secure. I know that individuals certainly post-2020 had concerns that data transmissions were not taking place over secure links, and there's been a lot of misunderstandings about how election data is transmitted and how those processes take place utilizing the technology. And we are very technology heavy in elections now. So we will be having a technology vendor who is a security clearance, does things for the Department of Defense level security, to come in to assure Chesterfield voters that your election results are being transmitted securely and that there are no failures within our system. If there are, we will be coming to the board to ask to address those issues if they identify any. But all of that will be made available to the public. There's nothing we want to keep from the public. We are huge advocates of transparency, and we are actually very, very proud of what we have here. So in addition to that, there may be one additional piece of software that we may be bringing to the board once we have worked out the details with the Bureau of Elections and Secretary of State. We are waiting for response back from them on implementing a signature verification software. It's one of the most important tools that we can use to safeguard your vote and safeguard our voters' identities and make sure that your vote and the signature on all of your election-related paperwork, all of your applications to vote, all of your absentee ballot envelopes, it's all reliant upon signature verification. Right now, that is a subjective system that is done by individuals, and we have a very good system in place, but a software system that is used by the banking industry and various other states around the country is really something that would be a huge piece of security for verifying signatures, because they are the standard by which we make many decisions in elections. So working that out with the BOE, but I will, if the BOE gives us clearance with that, that is another piece that will be coming back to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll make it quick also. Bob and Jacob, welcome. Appreciate your dedication. Ms. Griffin, 24 Mile Road, that is on our, obviously you know about the MDOT meeting. We've been on them looking for funding to secure that. We're trying to get SEMCOG to help us along with that project, so it is on the radar. I know it's been on the radar. I know several people that live along there. They're not as happy about the dust either, so it's on our radar. We are working on it. And yes, we are on that project meeting that you mentioned. Burden Road has not escaped anybody, and it is on the top of our list every day almost. We try and work with the contractor that's doing the project, hurry it along. We'll continue to manage that and obviously work to get better at it to not affect the residents there. This, along with the voting software, can support. We have project staff meetings every week. We go over this. This was an item dropped on. Our IT department knew nothing of it. It's not that anybody's opposed to it. It just, no one knows anything about it. What I've researched just in the last day, it overlaps several projects that we have been working on the technology side, along with integration and creating a single platform, and that's the direction that I'd like to continue going in. So with that being said, I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there any support? Trustee Joseph? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned, 8:23.